There was a turning point for me where I knew I had to change things. They said, you're very young to be having an enlarged liver. This is on the path to fatty liver disease.
I hadn't had blood work done in maybe 8 to 10 years, and I noticed my AC1 in pre-diabetic range. That was like, whoa, we felt like we didn't eat that bad.
That really motivated me to want to optimize all areas of my health.
It has fundamentally changed the way we live.
Hey guys, I'm Brittany Xavier.
And I'm Anthony Xavier.
And you're listening to The Long Game. Today's episode is all about the wake-up calls that completely changed our approach to health. From me discovering an enlarged liver during my preventative scan to Anthony's prediabetes diagnosis, we've had to make some serious lifestyle changes. And we're excited to share how we overhauled our diet, committed to better sleep and stress management, and what we're doing now to stay healthy long-term. Plus, we dive into some really fascinating insights of what we learned along the way. This journey has transformed our family, and we're really excited to share it with you. Let's dive right in. I know that I get a lot of questions about what Anthony has done differently to change. You look completely different from now to a year ago. And I know there's been so many changes, but we've never really sat down and walked through what we're doing on a day-to-day basis.
And I'm really excited about this particular episode because it has fundamentally changed the way we live and how we look at things with regards to our food, with regards to our environment, and what are we doing today to make sure that not only that we live longer, but the quality of life is extended.
Let's talk quickly about what got us to this point, because there was a turning point for me where I knew I had to change things. A year ago, I had a Prenuvo scan, which is a preventative cancer screening. And Anthony and I we think about things from a proactive approach. We've always been one to want data before we make a decision. We want to know all the facts and do the best we can in all areas of our life. For me, I always thought that one day you'll be surprised with cancer, and to hear that there was a test where you can get screened for, it's tests for stage 1 cancer and also other diseases in the early stages. For me, I know it's scary knowing that you could find something, but my opinion of it is I would want to catch it early if there was anything. And with the rise of colon cancer for millennials and how my diet was in the 90s and all the candy and all the artificial things
Doritos and Capri Suns.
What's the Sunny D?
Sunny Delight.
Oh. So thinking about that and knowing it has an effect on my cells, I want to be ahead of it. So I had the Prenuvo scan. I didn't find anything with cancer, but I was really shocked to find out that I had an enlarged liver. The main thing they said was, you're very young to be having an enlarged liver. If you continue whatever lifestyle you're doing, this is on the path to fatty liver disease. They asked me about my sugar intake, my alcohol. After I got off the call, I wanted to reevaluate how I was eating. I did not consider myself a heavy drinker. During 2020, I did. I would say we had margaritas
considered themselves a heavy drinker during 2020.
But this was 2023, and I felt like I drank every weekend, but I thought that was normal. Every one of our friends did that too. We'd go out to dinner, we'd have a margarita, I'd have wine sometimes. For me, I thought, I'm not a heavy drinker. I don't drink during the week.
Because we weren't drinking to the point where we were completely like messed up.
No, it was like 3 drinks.
It was a casual drink anytime we went out to eat, basically.
I also evaluated how much sugar I was eating. I also thought that, I'm not eating fast food. It just made me take a diary of my daily intake, and I realized I was eating a lot of snacks that were actually converting into sugar. Taking that diary, I also learned that I was drinking more than I actually thought I was. Taking a snapshot of myself, I immediately thought, I don't want to drink. I just want to take a break from this and see if I can affect the results. I want to get the scan in a year and see, before I jump into any other interventions, I want to see if I can do this myself. I stopped drinking, and then a month later, I got pregnant with Elliot. So that means that I was not drinking. I didn't drink at all my entire pregnancy. I'm not one to even have any drinks at all. Like, I'm a 0 drinker during pregnancy.
When you do get pregnant, even with Poppy, your diet changes quite a bit.
I'm very health conscious when I'm pregnant. I would say I eat better when I'm pregnant than when I'm not pregnant, because everything I think about is what nutrition the baby's going to pull from it. So I analyze food differently. I got my scan a year later, and happy to report that I no longer have an enlarged liver. And that really motivated me to want to optimize all areas of my health. I got a blood test with Function Health, which is a blood test. And I wanted to have a clear snapshot of what my blood work was and just really see if I can make any improvements with that knowledge. I found that some of my nutrients were low. So I was able to adjust my diet and adjust my supplements to make sure that I was optimizing my health in those areas. And it really put me on a path to seeing the data, making the changes, and having the visual as a goal for me. And that really helped me get to where I'm at today with how I think about health and my wellness.
Because that was just a little peek as to, wait, we have the ability to change things that we didn't know about and we would have never known about if we didn't do any preventative
And
tests.
my idea was that I wasn't a heavy drinker or that I didn't eat sweets that much. But then seeing my liver be actually affected by whatever I was doing made me stop and reevaluate my life.
Mm-hmm.
You want to share what the turning point was for you?
We got sick in last summer.
Mm-hmm.
Poppy, you and myself, and we don't normally get that sick.
Mm-mm.
We had fevers, aches, and we had this cough that just lingered for months after that. And
if you go back to some of my old videos, you'll notice my voice. I think I have damage from it in my throat. Sometimes my voice cracks.
It was really bad. And at that point, who is our primary physician? And we didn't really have one because we would always go to urgent care. They'd give us a Z-Pack, some antibiotics, and we're on your way. Which, I mean, that was horrible.
Just in case antibiotics, that was my idea.
Yeah, antibiotics or steroids. It's like, okay, here's some medication. Hopefully it wipes it out. We had found a primary care physician and she wanted to do just routine blood work on myself because I hadn't had blood work done in maybe 8 to 10 years. And she wanted to get a baseline as to where I was at. So I got my test a couple of weeks later and I got it before the doctor reached out or anything. So I was looking at it and I noticed my AC1 was in pre-diabetic range, and that's my blood sugar levels.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really alarming because my dad had diabetes. My dad has diabetes, and he found out, I think, when he was like 30 or 31 when I was in high school. And I've seen the progression of that. I've seen what he's had to go through, the different challenges he has faced. I mean, he's taken 20 to 25 pills. The quality of life having diabetes, it just sucks. And I did not want that for myself. So that was like, whoa, what is going on?
Mm-hmm.
And I had to call the doctor to schedule kind of a follow-up, like, hey, let's talk through this. Got on the phone with her and talking through it. And she asked me, what is your diet like? And I, like Brittany, we felt like we didn't eat that bad because we didn't get our food through a drive-through. We were going to restaurants, eating food that we thought was okay. And I noticed that I do eat a lot of noodles.
You also took a diary of your week with your food.
Yeah. I love noodles so much.
Ramen,
just
pho.
Thinking about it, like, yeah, ramen, pho, like pasta, like everything, just noodles. We
used to eat a Din Tai Fung probably twice a week.
That was a favorite of ours. I don't crave it anymore because it's been so long, but man. So noodles was a big thing. And I said, and we drink, not heavily, but we drink every time we go out.
Mm-hmm.
And what didn't occur to me, because I thought diabetes related to, your sugar levels. But for me, when I think sugar, I'm thinking desserts. And I wasn't really a big dessert person. I feel like you're more of a dessert person. I wasn't really eating that much sweets, but she was like, all those noodles you're intaking, that turns into sugar. And the alcohol, that turns into sugar. So she's like, cut those out and then let's talk in 6 months. And I remember getting off that call and feeling there wasn't a solid game plan. And she didn't seem like it was such a big deal. But for me, I see what one road leads to through my dad. And I don't want to go down that road, but to have a plan of, okay, just cut out noodles and alcohol, that wasn't enough for me.
But she also said, well, a lot of people are pre-diabetic. It's not that big of a deal.
We want to be in an optimal health level. And that was like that aha moment where if I continue doing what I do, eat and drink what I want to, I'm going to end up like my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was the turning point for us. I don't feel like we were super like, okay, let's map out this massive game plan. This is what we're going to do. Obviously I cut out the noodles and the alcohol, but we tried to cook more at home, which that's challenging because we work from home. We have at that time 2 kids and trying
And
to
at that
manage
time,
that.
we were living in an apartment in Old Town Pasadena that was near all the best restaurants. So we could easily get things picked up. We could go across the
Oh, I'd
street.
just walk a block away and just get
Mhm.
dinner. And it was such an easy thing to like, okay, what restaurants we went? Okay, let's pick that. Like there was not much thought to it. And it's all
Mhm.
about convenience.
Right.
And that's what got us is being comfortable and having things convenient is leading us to this discomfort.
Mhm. And I went down a research rabbit hole where I thought, what can we do to take this into our own hands? And is diabetes reversible? This pre-diabetes thing, can we get out of this range and get him back to where we're feeling really comfortable? We can live long together and have a thriving marriage, family. Thinking about him being sick earlier than me was a huge motivator for me to be like, we need to get this in check because I also want to have a long marriage with you and want you to be around and be healthy. That was a huge thing for me. This little thing of pre-diabetes could be huge in years if we don't do anything about it.
I feel like Siri and TikTok was listening to us because I
Oh my
started getting
gosh.
things in my feed, health conscious or type of content. And
Mhm.
that's where I stumbled across Dana White's video and his transformation, because I saw what he looked like before to now is a complete 360. He looks so much more youthful. He lost a lot of weight. What the heck did this guy do? I did a deep dive and I found Gary Brecka. And Gary Brecka, he's a human biologist.
He has a wellness center.
He has a wellness center, but he was in the insurance space where he would analyze data and predict people's life expectancy almost to the month based on all the research these insurance companies have pulled, medical
For
records,
life insurance.
demographics. Within the last couple of years, he really blew up. And I showed you his TikTok. We were in a deep dive in that, watching
Mhm.
all his content and just the information. It was like our world had expanded into this functional health, longevity.
Well, let's quickly explain what longevity is for those who are new to this concept.
So longevity it's not making sure that you live up until you're 100, 120, but the quality of life, really optimizing your life to the fullest to where if you are 100, you're still able to walk down the street, pick
Take
up
a hike.
packages, do the simple things in life that normally if you were, 80 and not taking care of yourself, you're bedridden, you're on medications, like it's
Mhm.
really giving you the ability to extend your life, but also the quality of it.
Mhm.
That really spoke to us.
That was a huge mindset shift for me because I always thought that when you get older, you get a disease and that's what happens. Like that's part of aging.
Hmm.
But really, from all the research I did, I was learning that you actually get the chronic disease from your lifestyle and food choices and your stress levels, your sleep, all these other things in your life. That was just a huge mindset shift for me because I just thought age and then also what your family's history was. Like if your family had cancer, most likely you were going to get cancer. That's how I always
Exactly.
thought.
When we discovered Gary Brecka, that opened us up to all these other functional health, longevity experts. We were listening to different podcasts and
Really surrounding ourselves with that same mindset shift, being motivated.
exactly. And making sure that we surround ourselves with the knowledge too, to be able to take control of our own health.
I was really insistent on the fact that we should meet with Gary. I really wanted him to sit down with you and you could go to his wellness center, whatever we needed to do. So we flew to Miami. We met with Gary.
He just had so much knowledge. We left that meeting thinking like, wow.
Very inspired, very excited that we had a game plan and you were going to meet with him again in 10 weeks to review the results and really stick to it and see if you can improve this. And that was so exciting for us because we are very goal minded. We love when we can see what we're aiming for. We have all the data that we need to do. It was exciting. I left there like, let's do this. I was even really excited about my health way more than before I went into that meeting. We left there
With a new sense of motivation.
and so if you dive into thinking about all these different longevity and all these different biohacking things you can do, it can get overwhelming because there's a lot of things. So we boiled it down to what are the 4 pillars that we need to focus on to make sure we're in a good position to have the fundamentals of health and living truly to our fullest and to be optimal in so many areas.
And be able to thrive in what
And
we're
thriving,
doing.
right.
So the 4 pillars that we decided to focus on: sleep, exercise, whole foods, and stress management.
I think sleep was the most important for us to start with. That was something we knew we didn't prioritize. Before this, we would sleep maybe 4 or 5 hours and power through the next day thinking that we were getting so much done. And almost like it was we can do more because we're powering through, and realizing that I need 8 hours of sleep at night to be the best mom I can be, to be the best wife I can be. I can think more creatively when I'm well rested and I'm less irritable. My mindset shift with these 4 categories was what I was going to gain versus what I was going to miss out on. And thinking about what I wanted to gain as being more level-headed. Waking up energized in the morning was something that I never thought would ever be me because I wasn't a morning person. So the thing with sleep that we did that really helped us is we gave up watching shows at night. We would always watch shows before that, maybe like an hour and a half.
It was like our wind down time.
Right. I would scroll my phone, we would watch a show, and that was our routine before we really incorporated the sleep. We said, we're done with the shows. We're going to focus on being off our screens 2 hours before we go to bed, and we're going to wind down and just have that calming. I would take a bath. This was before we had our sauna.
Also, I think a biggest thing for optimizing our sleep was eating earlier. I felt like we always ate like around 7:30, only, a couple hours before bedtime.
Having time for your digestion to be fully digested before you go to bed so that you're starting to settle down, your body's starting to relax. And that was really key for us because we had to prioritize eating dinner earlier, knowing that it's going to affect our sleep.
We'd start getting dinner prepared around 4:30, probably eat around 5:30. And by that time we're done. And then we also have like 3 hours before we're going to bed for, our stomach to digest.
We were trying to get this in order too before I had Elliot. This was a month before we were really diving into what we need to do for sleep. Because once a newborn was going to come, we knew that we were going to be exhausted. We were so exhausted with Poppy. It was
the many sleepless nights. And
that's the most exhausted I've ever been. And it's a different type of.
Like when I passed out in the car.
Oh my gosh. That's a story for another time. But I thought, Anthony.
You thought I was kidnapped.
I thought something happened
but
to you.
That's like how sleep deprived we were. I just went to go shopping and not accidentally, but I fell asleep in the car.
The car for 2.5 hours.
It was parked, but yeah, I woke up and it was all dark outside and I had a ton of missed calls and I'm like, what just happened?
Story for another time. But we thought if we could have a newborn and be rested, that would be night and day for us. So that was, I think we started going to bed at 8:30. We were in bed by 9. And I would get up by 6. We also got an Aura ring during that time. That tracks our sleep. And that was to help give me a better idea of how many hours I was getting and what my deep sleep was. If you don't have an Aura ring, I wouldn't stress about it. I would just make sure the hours of sleep that you're getting is 8 hours.
Yeah, and if you want to take it to the next level like we did, it is nice to have that data because it just keeps reminding us, like, I thought, when I wake up, like, okay, that was a great sleep. And then I look at my ring and they're like, no, you only slept for 6 hours and 15 minutes. You woke up X amount of times. Like, all right, my body's telling me you need to slow down, go back to sleep. So I'll go back to sleep. But it really kind of keeps you in check because you think you're getting enough sleep. You think you're fully rested, but the ring says otherwise. So that has been a nice addition to our sleep routine, just to be able to manage the data and keep us in check.
I love it. I'm a huge fan of the Aura ring for that reason. A month before we had Elliot, we really were prioritizing our sleep. We had him. He slept in our bed. I just nursed him when he cried. I felt like our sleep was so good during that time. And my sleep was in the 90s on Aura ring, having a newborn. And that was crazy to me because it also changed my perception of, I think I can have another baby after this because this is a complete different newborn experience than when I had with Poppy, where I was literally every day just trying to get by and drag through the day and just wait for bedtime. Going to bed early was a huge shift for me because I was always a night owl. I love staying up late. I would sleep in the morning before this. Going to bed earlier, I noticed I would wake up at 6, but I was ready for the day. I was not wanting to go back to sleep. And that was a huge shift for me because I thought, well, now am I a morning person? Because I look forward to my morning because I'm rested.
So now by going to bed earlier, you're waking up earlier and you have that time in the morning. What is your morning exercise routine look like?
My morning is I wake up, I drink a little lemon water, I go outside and I read my Bible. So I like to get light in my eyes early morning. I don't like to exercise right away. I like to just take it slow in the morning for a minute. I'll do a little stretch out there. And then I feel like after 30 minutes I'm up, then I'll do an exercise routine. But I follow Kaylee Cohen's Strength on YouTube. She posts new videos every day. I got a little dumbbell set. I have a mat in my living room. Kept it really simple, but I just thought whatever she's going to post that day, that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to overthink it. Sometimes she does a full body. Sometimes it'll just be arms, but it's usually 20, 30 minutes resistance training. Super manageable. She actually posted videos the whole time she was pregnant too. It's not a pregnancy channel, but she's just lifting weights the same, fully pregnant. So I'm like, well, if she's pregnant filming these videos, I can do it not pregnant.
I like how we have it set up because it's easy, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you wake up, everything is right there. You don't need to get dressed. You don't care about what you look like so that you can drive 10 to 15 minutes to a gym, then maybe fight over certain machines because who knows how
Well,
many
you like
people are
going to
there.
the gym in the morning.
Well, now I do. In the
Mhm.
beginning, when we started weightlifting a little bit more and using the resistance training, I did do it at home because I felt like if I take out certain variables that make me think like, oh, I don't want to go today, or oh, it's such a hassle to get into the car or bring all my stuff, that it was just more roadblocks that I didn't have to overcome. So by having it in the house, I could just wake up, throw on some basketball shorts, put on my shoes, and just get it started. And within 30, 45 minutes, I was done.
For me, the mornings, the night before, I make sure my area is organized. Sometimes Poppy's toys will be in the way, or we'll have boxes if I unpackage things. So I try to make sure that area is clear for me to do it. And I lay out I usually work out barefoot, but I'll lay out my comfortable outfit. So that way I just go in there, change in there, and I have my water ready too. So I just do a little bit of prep the night before. So when I wake up and I do my other things, I can just go in the living room and everything's there for me. That's helped me so much.
And by even doing that, you're telling your mind, like, okay, tomorrow we have a game plan, and
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow we're working out. We did all the prep for it. Like, there's no, oh, maybe tomorrow or maybe in a couple of days.
But I feel like the first 2 weeks were tough to get into the routine. But now I can't imagine not working out in the morning. I feel like my muscles are falling off or something, or like my body's wasting away. It's like you want to feel like, oh, I gave my body what it needs today. I'm using them so I can continue using them when I'm older. I like the Kaylee Cohen, her YouTube, because she does a lot of functional
Movements.
moves. This is good for one day if you need to sit up or you're trying to pull things off shelves. Like I try to think of that as like my 75-year-old self. Am I going to be able to still do all these things? And that's what I love about working out in the morning. It's not just in high school, I would see these magazines where it would be summer bod. It was like the April issue. And then I would always get, the teen magazines. And it was all about like working out was to look good. And this
Yeah.
is far beyond looking good. How you feel and your mental health and how your clothes fit. That's like the byproduct of this. But really, from a longevity perspective, has been a huge mindset shift for me and how I look at exercise.
And I know personally when I take breaks, and especially when we were traveling so much for
Mhm.
summer, we would try to get to the gym, or we're not doing it as much as we normally would. When I would wake up, my back would be sore,
Mhm.
or I'm stiff, or like just certain muscles. I'm like, oh my gosh,
It's because you're not moving.
yeah, I'm not moving. I'm not strength training. Like it's that repetition that just when you wake up, you feel good.
Mhm.
And I definitely notice it when I don't do it for a bit. And then, there's going to be times when you're off. Just, you got to consistently be on top of
And your
it.
body's so resilient. It's has that muscle memory, but the little changes, like before, if I would miss, because I would work out a lot with Poppy, but if I would miss, I would think, oh, well, I'll just restart that Monday. I would never just say, let's just pick up the next day and, oh, well, I had a
Yeah.
busy day. I would count it all as a loss. But now it's like, if we were somewhere late and I need to sleep that morning and I need to get my 8 hours of sleep, I'll just say, okay, I can maybe work out later that day. But if not, then I'll prioritize it again in the morning. I don't beat myself up over it. We really went down to a whole food diet, and meaning the ingredients are one ingredient. So a potato, chicken. We really,
Nothing processed.
yeah. I would say some of the snacks I have are minimally processed, where it's like just fruits, but they're smushed together. But it's not ultra processed foods is what we're eating at all.
Yeah. If you look on the back of an ingredient
You
list,
can read
there's,
everything.
like the things we eat would only list like maybe 4 or 5 different ingredients.
So we prioritize going to farmers markets because we can eat seasonally, and organic produce was a lot more affordable that way. If you go on localharvest.org, it'll show you local farmers markets in your town, and that's what I've used to find them near us. And we would food prep a lot more. We would eat dinner at home and prioritize eating together as a family. That family time was really important, but also we were eating earlier so we can get to bed earlier. And it was a fun routine that we got into. Once we started eating better, we saved so much money on restaurants because we knew that we couldn't eat at a lot of them because we didn't know where the food was coming from or we didn't know how it was processed. We really wanted to know where all of our food was coming from and how it was prepared and the quality of the food.
True Foods has
is
been a fan favorite.
That's a good one for lunch if we need to pick up something. But
Erewhon's been good as well. But
we're in LA, so we do have a lot more health conscious places. But we just thought we need to eat at home more. We need to have food ready for breakfast in the morning, whether it's eggs or yogurt. Just prepping a little bit in advance has helped us really stick to this because we have the food that we need to eat.
But it did come with challenges. It wasn't like it's the first week and we figured all this out. It took a little bit to get into the routine, to know what to look for.
It was new habits.
Yeah, and the new habits. And it was challenging because we went from a massive list of restaurants that we can choose from to maybe just one. And then now getting the food, prepping, cooking.
I was also a late night snack eater. I would eat right before bed. I would have some healthy chips or whatever I was having, but they were all just because I wanted something, not because I actually was providing any nutrients for me.
Late night snacking with the show.
So thinking about food is, for me, it's like, what is this meal providing me? And I like to know what vitamins I'm getting out of it, what nourishment it's actually helping for my body. It's not just a bag full of chemicals because I want something that tastes good.
Yeah, being very intentional about the food that we put into our bodies. Like, what is it doing for us?
And that has been so helpful because we'll go get an ice cream on the weekends with the kids, or we'll say, okay, let's go do something fun, or we love pumpkin pie. So during fall, we'll have pumpkin pie. But I would say for 90% of the time, we're focused so much on the nourishment that when it is something like, oh, let's go get an ice cream, our body can handle it because it's not constantly being hit with all these chemicals or all these toxins.
Just
I would
bad
say.
processed food. Yeah.
Overall, I would say our mentality is, what is it serving us for the nourishment?
And even when we travel, we continue to eat how we do at home. It is a little bit more difficult, but we bring snacks. You have an app. What is that?
I check Seed Oil Scout, and then I also use AI to search restaurants. I prompt it and say, you're a restaurant expert. I'm looking for grass-fed,
farm to table
organic experiences that are easy for lunch pickup, organic vegetables. I need one within a 5-mile radius. And I've always found restaurants that way. We've been to Texas, Florida. I feel so much better about places we go just with a little bit more prep. We'll do picnics at the park and we'll bring our lunch. It's been fun. I feel like we've not missed out on the community aspect of having friends over with food, and we're making our food. We had our neighbors over the other night. I made fresh sourdough. They're like, wow, this is all so good, but it's all nourishing food. I loved it. So there's a way to enjoy food without
feeling left out or
feeling so sick afterwards where I'm like, oh, I feel like just groggy and gross. And I know it's affected my mental health and my mental clarity too. And my skin. I've noticed so many positive changes from eating like this. It goes back to thinking about what I'm going to gain versus what I'm missing out on. And I'm gaining so many positive things that I don't crave the things I was eating before. And what is it giving me nourishment wise? Food is supposed to move me forward, and I'm not excited about food that it's like chemical, and I don't know. It's just like that. My cravings have completely changed.
And for me, I noticed even my skin. I had skin issues on the back of my arm. They call it like chicken scratch, but it's just like some dry, red, patchy areas. And I've had that my whole life.
I've gotten you skin mask for it. Remember, I would try to get you all the exfoliating
just like
scrubs.
Different things, and it wasn't working. So I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to live with this. And literally, when we started focusing on our gut health, eating nutritious foods, it went away. I no longer have it. And I'm like, oh my God, I thought this was kind of a lifelong thing.
Yeah. Since that time. And I mean, we're coming up, knock on wood, we're coming up to flu and cold and flu season, but I feel so much more strong about it because I know my immunity, and I know from my blood results that my immunity is so great right now.
Yeah.
So it's nice having that, knowing we're prepping our bodies, giving it the best we can. So if a virus does hit us, our body can fight it off with way more of those tools.
Yeah. Even I had allergies, and I would take
I
a
know.
daily allergy pill every day.
You're not
Because
on
if
your
I
allergy pill
didn't,
anymore.
my nose would swell up, and the whole day I would just be
That's right.
feeling like
Always.
disgusting. And yeah, once we got the gut thing in check, I no longer need an allergy pill, and I
That's
feel completely
crazy.
fine. Yeah.
Forgot about that. That's amazing. I think it's been nice thinking about symptoms as like what is actually causing them versus let me just do an exfoliant and try to get rid of the red bumps, figuring out where the red bumps coming from. So trying to think of our health overall and holistically like that.
Not trying to mask the symptom with medications,
Mhm.
but understand what's the underlying cause and how can we fix that with food.
Because food can definitely be medicine, but it can also be poison. So you
Yeah.
have to really evaluate. I would say the food diary was the biggest help for me to figure out what I was eating. And I didn't change anything when I made my food diary. I ate exactly how I was going to and just marked it in my notes on my app. And that was just a really good reflection to figure out what am I eating and is this all good things for me or is this just something because it's convenient, it's there and I'm kind of bored right now. I want to eat something.
So the next pillar would be stress management.
Mhm.
I think this is extremely important for us because we do own a business together. We have 3 kids. We have a lot going on. And if your mental clarity isn't there, it can feel extremely overwhelming. We can burn out, which we
Mhm.
have in the past. And I mean, the lack of sleep, probably the crap we were eating.
Mhm.
But I think really focusing on like that mind and body connection. Like, yeah, we
Mhm.
can eat healthy, but we need to make sure our mind is
It's
healthy
so much
too.
more than just food. You
Yeah.
have to have your mental. I mean, food affects your mental health, but if you're constantly at a high level of stress and you're not sleeping enough and your cortisol levels are just draining you, your body's not gonna be able to recover quick enough, and it affects so many different areas.
So, what are some things that we've incorporated into our own lives to manage stress? You specifically.
For me, my morning routine of getting up, reading my Bible, praying, being grateful, and really just thanking God for the small things in my life. And I remember when I was pregnant with Jaden and my life felt so overwhelming. I felt like I could not do it. It was just, I had to thank him for that I could walk. I have a roof over my head. I can walk today. And I remember thinking like, I can get through this. And there was like so many good scriptures during that time where God was reinforcing me, you can do this and I'm going to be with you the whole time. I mean, looking at my life now, I'm like, thank God I trusted him. But I feel like that in the morning. I'm like, "Oh my god, I love my family," and just, like, the little, like I hear the birds singing, and it's just like, wow, like, life is so good. There's so
Hmm.
many good things, and you can focus on the bad things, and you can think of, like, what you don't have and the comparison of others, but you just have to think of, like, bringing it down to really basics, and for me, when I was going through a really, really hard time, it was like, I'm so thankful that I can walk, or I'm so thankful that I can see, or just little things that you take for granted of just the daily things that you expect to work for you.
Yeah, and I noticed what helped me a lot was doing my morning breathing exercises. So in the morning, I'll wake up, lights are still completely off, and I do the Wim Hof method. So it's like 30 deep breaths over and over. Then you pause, let it sit, and then you continue and you do that 3 rounds of that. And I learned that from Gary Brecka. And just flooding your brain with oxygen right in the beginning of the morning, like that is like 2 cups of coffee for me. I feel so great. I go over the things that I'm grateful for. And I like to do the day before because I don't want to every day, like, I'm grateful that I'm living, which I am, or I'm grateful for my family, which I am. But I like to pick specific moments that happened yesterday. I always
Mhm.
like to do the day before because every day there's something that you could be grateful for.
Mhm.
And that really kind of sets the tone. And then I think of the 3 goals that I have in mind for myself. So you know that right when you wake up, you're flooding your brain with oxygen, you're grateful, you have that purpose, and you know what goals you're focused on. So when you go throughout your day, you're like, I can do this. And no matter what comes your way, whether it's negative, positive, like you're going to be able to handle it because you have a clear vision in mind as to what you want to tackle. And there's some direction.
For me, during the day, I do notice that I sometimes hold my breath and I get excited about things, and I don't know why that's how I process things, but I'll, like, I'm tense up, and for me, really trying to do the 3 breaths, but the belly breaths, and just taking a moment when I feel like, "Oh, I'm excited," or even if I am stressed, because sometimes I feel like I have so much going on where I don't know which area to tackle first. I have,
Hmm.
like, 5 top goals I wanna do for the day, but I'm like, "Wait, I need to stay focused and just, like, what's the number 1?" But I get excited about all of them because 'cause they're all things I wanna do. And so just stopping, taking 3 breaths, and not holding your stomach, really breathing in through with your stomach lifting up and down has been so helpful just to, like, calm my nervous system. And that's something daily I'm really incorporating right before I eat lunch, right after I eat lunch, just resetting my system. Another thing that we really had to take evaluation of is the people in our life. We need to really protect our peace as a family. And
You really want to surround yourself with people that have the same mindset and mentality. And
mhm,
because if you're around negative people all the time, they're going to bring you down.
mhm,
Surrounding yourself with positive people, they're going to uplift you. They're going to be your support system. Evaluating who are my friends? Who are the ones that when I tell them of a win that I had for the day, are they my cheerleader or are they my
constantly
critic?
negative, right?
Hmm. So I think that was a big thing for us is like, oh, because I've had this friend for 10 years, but she's always like that, or he's always like that.
Mhm. Or even your family members, if they're
Yeah.
constantly negative, constantly overreacting, it affects you.
Hmm.
And you really have to see what is your immediate circle of influence and keeping that peace throughout the day. And yeah, there's going to be people that are challenging to work with, but if they're not in your everyday all the time, I think it's for me, it's a little bit more manageable.
Yeah.
It's been a year since we incorporated some of these changes, and I think since March, that's when we were very aggressively sticking to everything and really making it a part of our lifestyle. What do you think? What do you see for yourself this next year, or what do you think
I know I
how it's
can,
affected? Oh, and also your blood levels have gotten better. That's a huge win.
those got better. My testosterone was extremely low
Mhm.
and it's almost tripled since being on Brecca's plan.
Mhm.
So a lot of my
You have so
different
much energy
levels,
now. It's crazy.
yeah, I don't have that dip. It's just like I'm awake and ready for the day. And it's weird because you think that, oh, because I'm getting older, this is how I'm supposed to feel. But no,
Mhm.
it's like your body, you're not giving your body what it needs.
Mhm.
And so when you understand your baseline and then you do the things to correct it, you're like, oh, wow, I'm like so energetic. I can
It
go. But
feels
that's how
so
you're
good.
supposed to feel
Mhm.
throughout the day. So I'm excited for the next year and future years because I feel like we do have a solid game plan. I did the function health test. There are a few biomarkers that I want to work on, things a little bit more geared towards my heart. So
Mhm.
incorporating the
Your
hit
like once
high
or twice a
intensity
week.
training, because a lot of it was just weightlifting, but now I need to really incorporate cardio. So just doing those little tweaks and then reevaluating the next time we do the function health test with
Mhm.
6 months.
Yeah.
What about you? What do you feel excited for? What do you got on the?
I feel excited that, like you said, that we have a solid game plan in place and what more we can do in the next year. I'm taking cooking classes right now, so I really wanna up my skills of being able to make food at home and teaching Poppy and Elliot. I know Jaden's going off to college soon. She's taking the cooking classes with me, but that's going into the goal of being able to cook from home and being more self-sufficient on our own with knowing where the food comes from, how we can prepare, and making a really good meal that we're excited about, excited to eat together. That excites me for the next year. I'm just excited for this journey with the podcast. I think we'll be able to share more of our stories and what we're struggling with and what we're going through. I'm really, really excited. I've never stuck to anything for as long as during this last year that I have. And that makes me know that the mindset shift is what's really changed for me. I love that book, Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's so good and it's so transformative of just the little things you can do daily really adds up to big changes.
Yeah, you don't have to be great every day. You just have to be good every day,
Right.
and that you'll see
Mediocre.
changes. Yeah, you just have to be okay, and you'll see great things.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to the first episode of The Long Game. We really appreciate you being here. And if you found any value out of this, please feel free to leave us a 5-star review. We will be dropping episodes every Thursday wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube.
Yes. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next week.